Hey guys, do you ever want to get a free Audible book plus 2 Audible originals and a 30-day free trial? Go to audibletrial.com/YAGS for yet another geek show.
Editor Dalton from the future here. You're going to notice that my audio quality is significantly lower this episode. I just wanted to add this little note and take the blame for that, accidentally recording with the wrong microphone. We always want to try to deliver the best we can, and we could have re-recorded this with better audio, but then we wouldn't have been able to provide genuine reactions, and I've decided that wasn't in our best interest. If this is coincidentally the first episode of our show that you've ever clicked on, please know that it normally sounds a fair bit better than this will, so maybe give another episode a shot if you can't stand this one, but I hope you can still enjoy it.
Hello, welcome back to yet another geek show where I didn't like this movie. This is your host, Alex Ecker.
Oh, wow. Okay. Strong open. Holy shit.
Your other host here is Dalton Munnell.
This is your host, Dalton Munnell. All right. That was a mind-blowing way to... You're supposed to open with a joke, not something you mean so fiercely. Oh,
the thing is, I watched this movie, okay? And I was looking for something funny to bring up. And nothing stuck with me about this movie to make a joke. And I just got done watching it, like 3 hours ago?
You know, I came into this so glad that you had watched it just a few hours ago because my viewing happened like 3 weeks ago. Yeah. Like 3 weeks ago. And I remember so little at this point that I'm like, man, I'm glad he's real fresh because I feel unqualified to talk about it. But the thing is even 3 weeks later, I should remember more than I do, and it makes sense to me now that this is the forgotten Tarantino movie.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It's just...
At first I was like, I don't like it, but then I'm like, no, wait, it's good. Pulp Fiction, I loved. This one, nothing brought me in.
Yeah, and so to be clear, this movie actually does have good reception. Not just good, it actually has great reception,
really?
But it's just not widespread and widely known regardless. It actually got a nomination at the time for Best Supporting Actor, and yet, despite being, I almost said despite being good enough to be nominated for an Academy Award, and then I remembered that Suicide Squad has one, and it means nothing.
Yeah.
So I take that all back. In any case, it has a really good Rotten Tomatoes score and everything. It's just no one's heard of it. So I guess, I don't know, maybe people overhyped it at the time because it was Tarantino right off of Pulp Fiction and no one wanted to admit it wasn't that great. Even today, though, if you look up like anyone else talking about it on YouTube or anyone else's movie podcast that you shouldn't listen to because you could listen to ours.
Ours is the best.
People generally like it. And I don't have a lot here to like, honestly. Here's the thing is, I don't have things that are bad either. It's just completely forgettable.
It really is.
And I didn't care when it was happening.
Like, it's honestly, I'm willing to blame Tarantino's whole thing for this movie. Obviously it's his movie, but I blame his direction.
Okay, so
there's
let me
point out in this movie.
There is, and let me just point out what's something different about this movie from the rest of Tarantino's movies is that this is the only one that is not a completely original story.
Oh, okay.
This is an adaptation of a novel. And so this being the only time Tarantino's adapting somebody else's work, I think that explains most of the lack of his style.
Yeah, because the after I finished the movie, the first thing that I realized was it didn't do it in sections or segments and everything came together like the other two had. Mm-hmm. Everything was in chronological order, although it did have the black screen with words, depicting what was going on in the scene at certain points. That's like the only thing that was Tarantino about this.
It didn't have a whole lot of that great Tarantino dialogue.
No.
There was a meme in here I didn't know came from here.
What was
we talked in Pulp Fiction about how half of that movie was a meme. I'm going to butcher this and not know it word for word, but it refers to. I'm gonna reveal how little I know about guns. I don't even remember what gun they were talking about. Some kind of automatic. And Jackson's character. You want to remind me his name? Because it's been a while for me now. Odell. For when you absolutely have to kill every motherfucker in the room.
Oh, the AK-47.
Something like that. Yeah. That's a meme. Not a recent one. That's
okay.
One I was stumbling into a long time ago and went, I didn't know that came from this movie I never heard of, and I now understand why. Meme aside, I don't really remember any dialogue here.
Honestly,
and I don't know how much dialogue came out of the novel, or if it was just the general story.
The story is great. That's the thing. The story is really good. Like I loved the cleverness of the.
There's potential in it.
Yeah, the quote unquote heist that they performed, and like the idea was awesome. I loved the way that Jackie Brown's character was able to play everybody, basically. It was a very good and cunning character, but I just wish that there was so much more that he could have done aside from making Samuel Jackson drop the N-word every second. I mean, let's be fair. That was all Tarantino.
So Chris Tucker being utterly wasted here was a travesty.
Yeah, absolutely.
I went into this having no idea he was in there, and I love Chris Tucker and enjoyed the hell out of his other movies growing up.
Yeah.
This one slipped by me, and as soon as he showed up on screen, I was so thrilled.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit.
And then he's killed off a scene later, two scenes later.
I think that was like the end of this whole scene.
And simultaneously, on one hand, it was so disappointing because I'm like, man, we had a Samuel L. Jackson, Chris Tucker team up happening right here. You had that opportunity and you killed it. At the same time, his death scene is the most memorable thing about the movie.
Yeah.
If there's a thing that sticks with me.
Bring in the most forgettable character in the forgettable movie to be remembered.
Yeah, it just that scene, not just some of it just how surprising it was because I didn't realize it was going there, and some of it's just, man, the shot was so cool the way they did it.
Yeah, absolutely, it was.
With the camera being really far out, and then you see the entire trip in one shot that the car takes. And you see him start to drive through that field right next to where he started, and you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Boom.
That scene is bang, the only... Bang. Not boom.
It was great.
It was good, yeah.
It was great. It was great. And it's the only great thing I remember about the movie.
Yeah.
We might be the first people on the internet to crap on this movie, and I'm scared.
It's not that we're crapping on the movie. We just wish there was more to remember. Because
some of this is holding it up to Tarantino's standard, which I know you've only watched 2 of his movies so far prior to this, but like, those set a high standard already.
Yeah,
and you were aware of his reputation.
Scenes, there was no slow motion. There was no fucking flailing like a fish out of water. Like every other that I've seen so far. And most of it,
just like style.
Yeah, like that's his thing. Like his thing is introducing you to a random section, showing you what's going on, something goes down, and either it has a good or bad outcome. Next thing, moving on to another random segment and repeating, you know? And
you don't particularly care how good or bad the outcome is.
Yeah, no, it's you have to be there for the ride and not your expectation. And that's one thing like that I've had to pick up over the years, especially now. But this movie doesn't do anything that Tarantino has done. And like I said, it's not a bad movie. These actors in here are great. The story's great, but it's missing the dialogue entirely. And not to mention, how long was this movie? About 2.5, almost 3?
It felt longer.
It really did. Like, I had to stop and take breaks during this movie. Like, some of these scenes dragged on way too long, longer than they should have. Especially the last scene. Like, I don't really need to see someone half-ass lip sync a song as they drive away for like the whole thing.
Yeah.
The connection between all of the characters, you could see that it was trying to be there, but it didn't get me invested in them. None of the characters had me invested. Like, the only thing that I thought, like, that I can really remember, like, for example with like Samuel L. Jackson's character, towards the end when he didn't have his hair in a ponytail, he looked like Raiden from Mortal Kombat. Just
I was gonna say his hair is honestly the most memorable thing.
Yeah, like
about the movie, just his crazy ass hair.
Yeah, his crazy ass hair was the only thing. The woman who played Jackie Brown, what was her name?
Pamela Greer.
Thank you. They picked a really good actress for that spot. Someone that was supposed to be a gorgeous bombshell kind of person who could.
Well, and so I have to note while you're mentioning her, there's a bit of a history here that without it might be affecting our experience with this movie.
Yeah.
There was a scene in. Wow, I don't remember if it happened in Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction now, but some characters had a conversation about a character that Pam Grier has played that she was really well known for. She's a big deal to Tarantino. Actually, there was like a conversation where she wandered into his office or wherever and saw posters of her movies everywhere and asked if he put those up because she was coming. And he said, no, I meant to take them down because you were coming. And what she's known for, the name here, which didn't come from the book as I understand, is actually a play on Foxy Brown that she's played before, a character she's known for. She's known for blaxploitation films. And I assume that, like me, you have no history and experience with blaxploitation films. I barely understand what the genre is, to be honest.
What exactly... In a nutshell, could you tell me?
I honestly, I hardly want to try to explain it because I've seen none of them and I don't want to pretend that I have a good understanding of it. I know that Shaft qualifies as one.
Okay.
I don't... It has to do with movies, as far as I can tell, just really embracing like a cool... Ebonics kind of style. You get lead black actors in there and you make them cool. You make them like when you think like funk and soul, like that kind of cool, to my understanding.
Something like jazz.
Yeah, but like, but the name though, it's not just black, it's that mixed with exploitation. And so I've always assumed that this genre was looked at as a bad thing. Like maybe that name comes from... Maybe it was all white producers putting this together, and so maybe the term means that they're exploiting black culture for profit. I don't know. I don't really want to jump too far into that because I know so little about it that I don't want to say anything incorrect. But
fair.
Point being, this is an homage to that genre that I have no familiarity with. Yeah. And I don't know if that affects our interpretation here.
Right. Okay.
But furthermore, that's why that actress was chosen, was to help homage to that genre.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah. And she was good. I mean, I haven't seen anything else she's done. I assume she's the big deal that Quentin believes her to be, if you're familiar with that era and category of film. At the same time, this movie didn't manage to make me care about her. She's the title character.
Yeah, she's very easy on the eyes, and that was obviously a thing that they pointed out in the movie several times. But she definitely fit the character's role, like someone that was slimy.
Sure, I don't think it's on her.
Really?
I'm saying my lack of connection here. I don't think it's on her. I think she did a plenty good job acting it. I think everyone here did a plenty good job acting it, but she just wasn't given material I cared about. I almost forgot until right this second that Michael Keaton's in this movie.
Oh, shit. I almost forgot too.
Because he managed to not make me care about Batman.
Yeah. Oh man, which young Michael Keaton kind of reminds me of young Bruce Willis. Like really reminds me of younger Bruce Willis. It's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which I don't know. Michael Keaton could have had a little more investment in the movie. It felt like you were bouncing around a lot of the time when you're watching this movie. Like, oh, now we're watching these people, or hey, let's make this plot sound super complicated when it's really not.
Let's totally waste Robert De Niro.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm baffled that he took this role.
Yeah, he was the stoner dude, right?
Yeah, and maybe
he shot
the idea here. Maybe the idea here is that it's just fun to watch such a great actor decide to be humble enough to just let me do this stupid thing. Like Michael Fassbender, who's one of our modern day greats, is doing Kung Fury.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Maybe there's humor in that, in being humble enough to say, let me do this stupid thing. Still kind of feels like being wasted, though.
Yeah. I wish I had more to say. Like, I really do. There's only like one scene that really felt Tarantino to me. And it was towards the end when she was trying to get, I want to say his name was not Odell, but Ordell.
Ordell, yes.
Yeah, okay. When she got Ordell to go to the bail bonds office, and Ordell passed Max the keys, but they dropped the keys and he went to pick them back up. Something like that is something Tarantino would do, because it's not, it feels like an outtake, but they left it in because it's human.
Sure.
You know, smaller
yeah,
details like that. Like I remembered, I was like, okay, that feels Tarantino to me. Like I said, none of the gun scenes felt like his style.
Yeah.
Man.
It's like I said, it's supposed to be hearkening back to a genre I don't know anything about, but
yeah,
you know, I don't watch a lot of crime films. I haven't seen a lot of movies that are from earlier than the 80s, and yet I didn't need any of that to appreciate Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, like you can still tell the era and style and what they were going for. But it was just so damn forgettable. The entire movie. Which, speaking of the next movie we're going to watch from Tarantino, is that going to be forgettable?
I'm not sure if next is Kill Bill or Death Proof, but in either case, I don't want to give you any opinions before you get there.
Well, yeah, that's fine.
Alex, it was really hard for me to not tell you for the last 3 weeks that I don't like this movie.
You don't like Jackie Brown?
For Tarantino,
it's a good movie if
like I'm not upset. I'm not upset that I watched it. Right. I'm not even upset that I own it on Blu-ray. Right. And I'll watch it again at some point.
Absolutely.
But it's not going to be in the next year.
No, and
I'm gonna watch Pulp Fiction 2 or 3 more times this year. I'm not gonna watch Jackie Brown again this year.
Exactly. And like I said earlier, what was you said it was 2.5 hours?
Something like that.
If it were an hour and a half, like I'd feel better. Even if it was 2 hours, it'd be fine. The movie just ran. Don't edit that.
There's just a lot of fat on it.
There's a lot of substance, but nothing quality. Not the right words there, because like I said, this is a good movie, but it's a lot of fat, no meat. There we go. That's better.
That's the thing is, I guess it manages to still be good in the regard that the actors are still great. Robert De Niro, wasted on a stupid role, still does great. Samuel L. Jackson still does great, even though he looks stupid.
He really did look
Pam Grier does great. And I enjoy watching this movie where like she is the smart one, where they start out showing you the mastermind, the criminal mastermind that is Ordell. Yeah. And then you see what he does and why to Chris Tucker, and then Pam Grier realizes this is going to happen to her before it happens, and then you go, oh, okay, she's smart. I see what's going on here. And I enjoyed that. Yeah. And I think she sold it, but the directing and writing didn't make me give a shit.
Same with the love interest between Max and Jackie.
I barely remember that.
Exactly. Like,
I just didn't care.
The ending of the movie, they exchanged a kiss, and then she leaves. Like, the dude picks her up out of jail, and the music plays, and it's just a scene of her walking the entire time. It's like a 5-minute scene of her just like walking and him going back and forth. That's the other thing. Do you remember all the shit where this would happen? Flash over to the other person, flash over to this perspective, and then back and forth. I hated that, because like there was at least like a solid 30 minutes of that just being the movie.
Except that those individual segments and characters you're jumping in between just aren't as interesting as the characters in Pulp Fiction.
And they're static. That's the thing. In every scene, they are static.
Yeah.
Like, I keep going back and forth from this is a good movie to like shitting on it. But it's there could have been better direction. You know, like, 'cause I don't know. I'm sort of floundering here.
It just feels wasted on Tarantino.
Yeah, thank you.
If any other director had chosen to adapt this movie, maybe it comes out better, maybe it comes out worse, but I go into it with lower expectations than I did.
Yeah.
And Tarantino, who, you know, he's one of the prolific, defined, really has his own style kind of guys, just didn't have a style here.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
It was exactly that. I honestly can't add anything to what you said.
I mean, I watch plenty of movies where I go, this is decent, but it's not great enough that I'm going to bother to check who the director was, and I'm not going to follow up on their work. This would have been one of them. I would have saw it, you know, if I was in the appropriate age range at the time of release. I would have saw it in the theater, and I would have said, yeah, that was a good time. I'm not going to look up who did that, but yeah, all right.
Right. Which is, like you said, this is one of his most forgettable movies?
I had fun watching it, but also knew 5 minutes later I wasn't going to remember it. And it is what it is. And this might be the shortest spotlight we ever do, which is why we are overloading you with a bunch of them at the moment.
Yeah, we have a lot planned for spotlights.
I'm not going to say how many in case we screw it up, but you're about to get overloaded.
42.
That's the number.
That's the answer to life, you know.
All right, so right now the ranking from 1 to 3 is Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Jackie Brown.
I'm already going to call Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill, Death Proof, Jackie Brown.
All right. We'll see how that works out when we return for more Tarantino.
Yeah. Until then, we're going to be going to, what was it, Barcelona or Mexico or wherever she was going? You know.
Yeah, okay, we nailed that bit.
I forget.
Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.